Hey, everybody. We always want to keep everyone up to date of new changes within the real estate industry and the industry. And Adam Moore was talking to us about something that is really going to change the industry as far as mortgages are concerned and selling your home. So, why don't you kind of share us with us, Adam, about this new program you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for letting me come on with you guys. So the program actually has not been really new to the industry, but is actually hasn't been used for, I'd say, at least a decade. And a lot of that has to do with how the banks have offset their servicing, which is basically the billing cycle of the mortgages and how they've taken place over the last 10 years or so. But what we've seen is as companies have kind of come back into the servicing world now, the conversation or the term recast has basically started popping back up again. It's actually something that myself and our team has been using for, I'd say, the last year and a half for the most part, but it's become really prevalent now in helping some clients succeed in this marketplace. And it may not be for everyone, but it's certainly a great tool for people to use because everybody's grasping for some type of advantage, leverage, or something to help win, or find a spot to move your money around to be aggressive, essentially. So what a recast is essentially is we are allowing you to take proceeds, money from stock, gift funds, whatever that is, after you've already taken the mortgage or received your mortgage, and we're going to basically refinance essentially the note and the terms of that loan off what you want to apply the balance. So for instance, let's say you get $100,000 mortgage, we get all that in place, and a couple months down the road, you say you want to apply $20,000 to the payment. Or to your principal balance. When in most cases, you can always apply as much as you want to your principal balance with any mortgage, but your payment's automatically going to stay the same. In this case, we're going to go back to the courthouse. We're going to modify your note and the terms of your loan to the new principal balance of that loan, which is going to reduce your payment now, which is overall going to save you a massive amount of interest long term. Now, you're going to get one time to do this, so you can't do this multiple times, obviously, in your loan, but there's massive amounts of strategic advantages to doing this, which going to in the real estate world, allowing you to not sell your house now that has all the equity in there, but go ahead and moving forward with a purchase now, putting a minimum down payment down, which is allowing you to be aggressive, go get the house that you really love. And then once your house sells, we're going to reapply all that principal and equity into the new loan without you having to refinance.
And that's the key
Right.
because there's a lot of sellers that are saying, I really want to move. I want to downsize or I want to upsize. But I don't know where to go. I know my house is going to sell. I don't know what to do. So this is reverse instead of selling your house first, going to go find the house that you want first and get a mortgage, correct? Through this recasting program.
Correct.
Put just a little bit down. You don't have to put your normal 20% down or
Right.
because you're going to use the equity once you do sell your home, then you can take all those proceeds from the sale and then reapply it, recast it, like you're
Mhm.
saying, correct?
Right. So the biggest thing that we get is, a client says, well, I don't want to buy until I sell my house because I don't want to take PMI or I don't want a high payment, right? And so they keep holding on till their house sells and they miss out on so many different homes.
Mhm.
And we're already getting into a market where things are slowing a little bit, but marrying a sale of a current house with the purchase of another house has become a little bit more difficult, right? And
Right.
that timeline just doesn't match up anymore.
Mhm.
So the biggest question is obviously the financial aspects of why would I move forward now? Because now I'm stuck with PMI. Now I'm stuck with this higher rate or this program that, whatever that may be. So what we're doing is just allowing them to understand that we can still change some of those things down the road. Now, we're not going to do this on like per se an FHA loan and then switch you to a conventional loan, but we can put you in a maybe a 3% down payment conventional, maybe a 5%, anything that we can do to minimize your cost out of pocket for the moment. You probably have access to it, whether it be gift funds from maybe family, stocks, 401k that you can borrow from a short period of time, or maybe you already have it in just checking and savings. But we'll get you into the house. That way you don't have to move things twice. You don't have to worry about the stress of trying to get everything out of your house and get into the new house all at the same time. You can kind of make it a little bit of easier transaction, essentially get the house that you want. And then once your house sells, we're going to take all those proceeds or however much you want to, and we're going to roll it back into that new mortgage, reset your payments and everything for you. And it's at really a no cost. I mean, it's $250 is essentially what the cost is. And the cost is only associated for us to redo the stuff at the courthouse, which is going to be your notes and the terms of the contractual agreement that you sign, because we obviously want to modify what you owe back to us, which is resetting your payments. So your interest rate stays the same. So if you locked in at a great interest rate, your interest rate stays the same. The term doesn't restart over again. So if you're, let's say, 5 months in on a 30-year term, then you would still be left with 5 months in. It would reset up that. It doesn't go back to that 30-year term. Essentially, it basically modifies to where it's at.
So I have a question. If I'm calling you to talk to you about this program, do I have to predetermine with you the amount of the proceeds from the sale of my house eventually? How much of that commitment is going to be made toward the new loan? Does that understanding obviously has to be upfront, right?
Yeah. So great question. So one, we're having these conversations with people up front anyway, so that they can understand their advantages in the marketplace, where they are, and things that they can do now that they may not understand. But realistically, we may be having a hypothetical conversation of what we know equity wise is in their house and what their payment is going to be now if they move forward versus what we can modify it to once theirs sells. But none of that stuff has to be set in stone. All that can be modified. They've got 5 years essentially from the time that they start their new loan to do this. So it may not even be proceeds from their house. Maybe they're getting, money from a trust or from an estate or from a passing of a family member or something like that. It doesn't really matter what it is, but in most cases in our world, it's typically net proceeds from the sale of their home, most likely. But it can be done anytime.
Yeah. So they can take, let's say they get $100,000 in proceeds in the sale of their home. They can take 50,000 of that and recast that loan and go on a trip with the other 50. It doesn't really matter. Is that right?
It doesn't matter the amount. It just has to be a minimum of $10,000. The program itself has a minimum to where, look, I mean, if you're looking at the rule of finance, I mean, you're looking at hypothetically about $4 for every $1,000. So $4 is your payment reduction for about every $1,000 that you finance, just in a roundabout nature, not including taxation. So if you make a $10,000 reduction to the loan itself, you're probably not going to do that for $40. You probably can put $10,000 somewhere else. It's much more of a conversation when you're starting to talk about $50,000, $7,500, even $200,000, $300,000 that we look at in some cases.
So that's really good, because it does help the seller. They can go out, buy the home that they want. It's not contingent on the sale of their home. Mm-hmm. They can buy it, get the loan, even if you have to pay PMI, like you were saying, for a month or so. Yeah. That's okay. Right. Because PMI and then $200 for this program, correct?
Yeah, it's just the processing reapplication process to basically re-record the stuff at the courthouse, because we're just paying the courthouse to re-record.
Right.
Yeah. I guess a question I would ask as a consumer is, would I be eligible for the same attractive rate that someone else who's not using that program?
So it's really a program. It's not even not really necessarily a program. It's not something I'm setting up at the beginning of the process. Say, hey, if I didn't tag your loan with that up front, it's not an option for you. It's pretty much available on every conventional loan we have. It's a servicing option and service that we just provide, period.
Okay.
On the loan. Now, the difference is you can do this on a USDA, you can do this on an FHA loan. The key, though, with those programs is the fundamental structure of how those loans work. You're not getting out of PMI, and most likely it's just not the typical program that we're seeing a client do that on. It's
Right.
more likely a standard conventional loan that they're probably going to end up with a 50% down payment long term, but they just can't get their hands on it yet.
Yeah.
And so it is something that's automatically there for someone who does close with us. That servicing option is just there for their loan. It's now, if you use like housing consultants in Greensboro, North Carolina Housing and Finance, different bond style loans that's not going to work with those because those are serviced outside of our control.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Adam, if somebody wants to talk to you about this, how do they reach out and find you?
Yeah, fantastic. So they can reach me by just giving me a call on my cell phone. My number is 336-250-5052, or just go to movementmortgage.com and look up Adam Moore, and it'll take you directly to my website. But look, we've got tons of options and a little feeder, hopefully something we can talk about. We've got some new programs that are also going to help remove some contingencies in the future. We're certainly seeing a lot of investors and lenders becoming aggressive in some aspects to help buyers in this marketplace. So I think a lot of great things are coming available. And realistically, just sitting down with somebody who's been in the industry for a long time, that's financially savvy, that can give you a full perspective of where your financial, where you sit financially now and where you need to be to best take advantage of the marketplace. And we know that there's going to be a lot of changes, especially with the recessionary periods, inflation, what's going on. Really, where we're going to be sitting next year, I think, is going to be way better than even where we are now, and things are going to continue to keep improving.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's exciting.
Well, thank you for your time and letting us know about this recasting. It's not a new cast on your arm. It's a new cast on your mortgage. So Thank you
thanks for your time, Adam.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.